tell you all in confidence, the government of today, of this 7th administration, cares for the people of this country. We will set the tone for the Imbizo, and that's tone that will listen to each other, especially on how can we leverage the cultural, the creative industry to address the profound social challenges facing our nation. We know artists, the creative sector, plays a significant role. We would not have overcome the challenges during apartheid if it wasn't for the creative sector. We know messages were sent by the creative sector. And even in democracy, we want the creative sector to thrive. And I'm saying this because that's who we are as Africans. Our messages, our teachings are oral. And they move from one generation to another generation. And we use different ways to communicate these messages. Now, as we deal with social ills, such as substance use and abuse, we had some of the challenges that are faced. That colleague of ours who shared from Sunput spoke about challenges that are faced by persons who inject drugs. But there are programs that respond to that. And what he was talking about on the harm reduction programs that we have here in KwaZulu-Natal must be responsive to the realities of persons who inject drugs. But we also heard around people who speak about gender-based violence, where we had a story, and many stories actually shared experiences of LGBTI persons experiencing hate crimes, violation. But we heard also from young people. A young woman, I didn't get her name. I think it's quite important, but also to strike a balance. There are times where we will deliver things differently, but there are also times where we need to deliver these messages formally. And I think young people, as much as this first lady, even older persons, they were once young. So we must be able to have an intergenerational balance in how we deliver things. And I'm hoping young people can actually amplify that if today you are 18, tomorrow you will be 35. And we will be kind enough even now. But those who are young, let's look at how we can connect and learn from those who are older, because they were once young and they are not just 35, they have experience. So I want us to look at different ways to deliver that. So Kabazada will learn, because some of these messages we must deliver them in the way that they can receive easily for them as well. But some of the issues she touched on, which I think are fundamental, are issues of unemployment, of poverty and inequalities. And we had it throughout all the different speakers, even the play that was done. But these are issues that have deep roots in the legacy of apartheid and colonization. Now, we have an obligation to disrupt South Africa's societal divisions and promote the principle of non-sexism, non-racial, non-homophobic, non-transphobic South Africa. We need to disrupt it. So it can't be business as usual. And how we do so, we can only do it through various interventions, programs in partnership with government, civil society, creative sectors, as well as private sector, and many other cultural industries that we can integrate. But we must do it in a way that builds the resistance, resilience, and revolution that we want to see. Now, today in this venue, the Playhouse Company, this venue is a profound symbol of Ethekwini. It's a profound symbol of South Africa. This historic venue has been a center of Black creativity. It's a space where artistic expression have flourished against the backdrop of a brutal and inhumane regime designed to disempower African people in general, but also Blacks in particular, for participating meaningfully in their areas of human endeavor. This stage has seen evolution of South African Black excellence, a beacon for artists whose voices could not be silenced. On this very same stage, legends dared to defy oppression. It was with this contribution of the arts that the status quo of the marginalized and the colonized and the enslaved was challenged. As this important fraternity inspired collection or collective action and offered healing in times of chaos and brutality in the hands of unjust regimes of this world. The narratives, the songs, the plays, and the arts become the voices of political leaders. You all remember in the inaugural speech of His Excellency in Parliament during the State of Nation address, President Ramaphosa quoted Hugh Masekela in his speech. And you can only take away from creative and recreate it. So when we listen as politicians, we also take from the messages that were sent by creatives. So that was really an example of how we can harness between political leaders and the creative sector. I'm raising this important point because we need to realize a world of equality, a world of dignity for all. We will have to change the laws and policies. We will have to change programs that works for people, particularly those who are marginalized. We will also have to change the minds and the hearts of our people. But most importantly, we will have to change the sound on how we deliver the message. Now, the oldest liberation movement on the continent, which is the African National Congress, in its 55th National Conference, the ANC reaffirmed its commitment to arts, culture, and heritage as crucial elements to building a democratic society. But going back to the Ubuntu values, we have to go back to humanity if we're going to embrace humanity and dignity. But we need to achieve this in a way that is transformative. Apply our own power. When we say amandla and we come and say awethu, we must give this power to the people. Oliver Tambo, a few days ago, we were commemorating his life, president of ANC then. He declared once, and I want to quote it, "Let the arts be one of the means by which we inspire our people to fight for South Africa we envisage." Close quote. So I dare urge you, Program Director, that the creative industry through both historic and contemporary forms, is one of our most powerful allies in our fight against gender-based violence and femicide. All forms of discriminations, whether gender, race, class, citizenship, sexuality, ability, age, and in the context of today's discussion, ultimately, of course, societal changes. So I'm calling the creative sector, because we are in this historic venue, to come up, show up in many ways, because we are unstoppable to implement what we call social behavior change communication. Now, as the South African government, we continue with efforts towards addressing gender-based violence and femicide through the implementation of what was launched and called the National Strategic Plan on GBVF. The NSP represents our unified, multi-sectoral approach to addressing this scourge across all levels of society. We have also launched the National Comprehensive GBVF Prevention Strategy, which broadens the scope of our interventions and places particularly a focus on prevention measures. We no longer want to see rape happening in our community. We no longer want to see killings in our society. So prevention is better than any other action. This morning we heard that about 914 children under the ages of 12 have experienced sexual offenses. Now HOD, I can tell you, because I went and I read another report a few weeks ago about KwaZulu-Natal. And in fact, it was presented also by the Department of Public Service and Administration. That report says that this government of KwaZulu-Natal spends about 21 million paying teachers who are suspended at home. Those teachers were suspended because of sexual assault of our children. Now, we have said to DPSA we cannot compensate offenders. That must be stopped. When you are found to have sexually assaulted, be suspended with no pay until your matter is complete. So we shouldn't compensate people for wrongdoings in any way. This way, we redirect these funds to focus on survivors, to focus on education, to focus on all other opportunities that are meaningful. Don't give money to people who are actually creating a problem for us in society. Now, we're saying this prevention is very important. And the framework that we've established helps us to provide a much more improved survivor support services. And as we heard Advocate Naidu from NPA kept on speaking about the centers to respond, but she also made reference to frameworks around prevention. And frameworks around prevention, again, will require whole society. There's no way government can achieve this work without civil society. We can't. It was never possible back then. It is not possible even now. We can only achieve this work if the partnership is strengthened and we leverage on each other. So we must continue to work closely with the partners, including community, those community-based organizations. So sometimes we mustn't only rely on the big organizations in the provinces or at national. Just in that community, in the community of Inland, there is a community there that is organized. Abu Mamtembu, who's been working without funding but they just want to see change in their community. Let's leverage on community organization, but also let's leverage on the faith-based organizations, because they've got infrastructures, they've got the heart and the spirit of healing and helping on mental health. They've got time to support on nation building and social cohesion. So we are gathered here not only just to speak of gender-based violence, but also to speak about the levels of discrimination and how we need to get rid of discrimination, including experiences of persons with disability. So I'm raising this consciousness, how we all can build empathy but drive behavior change through creativity but innovative ways and methods that we can explore to achieve this. Now we also know that the wide reach of the creative arts fraternity offers a long-term, comprehensive, adaptable, context-specific, and holistic approach to prevention that targets all people living in South Africa. And that is done ultimately through messages. So every South African must understand that ending our social challenges is a national obligation for all. Build solidarity amongst our people in society. So I really want to encourage everybody to do so. Now, lastly, before I take my seat, President Ramaphosa have signed into law the preferential procurement for women-owned businesses. 40% of any kind of public procurement will go to women-owned businesses. Furthermore, President has signed 30% of public procurement must go to youth-led businesses. And also we have another target that has been included. 7% of businesses, or 7% of procurement preferential will go to businesses owned by persons with disabilities. Just as this policy, driven through the Public Procurement Act, as we know that President has assented it, we aim to enable these designated groups to participate meaningfully in our economy. So please, we must send these messages to our people, because these resources are meant to be received by our people. When they apply, when they bid, they must be having access to this economic opportunity. And that's when we will know that our industries are transforming, but they reflect the inclusive society we envision. Program Director, this month, we are inspired by the fact that just a day ago, we kickstarted, 2 days ago, we kickstarted the Disability Rights Awareness that takes place from the 3rd of November to the 3rd of December. This year's theme, celebrating 30 years of democracy, creating a disability-inclusive society for a better quality of life and the protection of the rights of persons with disability. How we create a barrier-free society where persons with disabilities are full and active participants in our economy and society at large. I want to emphasize this because the intersectional lens, the persons with disability, we heard even from our moderator, Tobeka, who spoke, but even some of the persons that spoke earlier. None of the marginalized communities are second-class citizens. They are not. Their rights are protected and they are enshrined in the Constitution. And they are equal rights like anybody else. So it is our own responsibility that we protect and we promote the rights of everybody, including the rights of persons with disability. What our white paper on the rights of persons with disabilities speak to? For instance, in this month, week 1, we will focus on growing an economy aligned with the empowerment of persons with disability. Week 2, we will advocate for the inclusion of every child with a disability. Week 3, and maybe before I say week 3, why I'm saying we advocate for the inclusion of every child with a disability. Do not allow children or persons with disability to be locked in their homes where they do not have access to services. Let's educate our neighbors. There is nothing wrong to have a child with disability. Let's go out and get information. Let's go out, because we go into communities, some persons with disability even miss to go to the clinic because they've been locked in the homes. When I was in Cape Town, I met with young men who said to me, Deputy Minister, I'm 35 years old, and as a person with disability, right now I cannot depend on a grant, which I agree with him. He says that I want to start my family, and this grant will not be able to cater for my family. I think these are some of the things we must do. Don't lock persons with disability in their houses. Let them have skills, access to education, job opportunities, so they too can build their own families. So we have 4 weeks to advance an advocacy activism approach, focusing on creating safer communities, including what is going to be released in a couple of weeks, which is statistics that are pointing to experiences of persons with disability in relation to gender-based violence. We will hear this, and we heard even from our Chief Director, as I have said earlier, that she highlighted programs, initiatives that are driving, or that are driven from the department to ensure disability inclusive South Africa. I want to close off to say that we are in the 4th industrial revolution. You know, I thought when Shembe said, you know, when somebody has a flashlight, and I thought people, you know, in concerts, when, you know, I take 10 on the lights, we take out our smartphones and we start putting on the flashlights. I thought people would do that, Shembe. I think you need to go practice a little bit to motivate people to take out the smartphones. But why I'm raising this, we are in the 4th industrial revolution. Many South Africans have got smartphones, but people don't know how to use this. They don't know how to use this innovation in their heads. You hold power. The only thing they use is call, it's WhatsApp, it's email. But there are quite a number of things that are integrated in these smart things. And of course, if others, they will use an email. But there's more than what we can do there. But what we have committed as a department is to really focus on the skills in the ICT. In the 4th industrial revolution. We have committed to developing and collaborating with Cisco and NEMISA, which are institutions that have committed to train youth in essential digital skills, such as artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and preparing young people for a digital economy. Technology advancement is the current currency, and we have to understand it. So, HOD, let's build youth skills and give them opportunities. It's crucial for us to do it. We have engaged with our National Youth Development Agency to look at their mandate, reinforce the programs as prescribed in the Amendment Act, that the role of the NYDA is to advance the youth development through policy, programs, interventions that addresses the challenges facing young people. I think Dr. Sia earlier was talking about how we need to focus on development more than welfare approach in his statement. Welfare will not take us far. Welfare deals with vulnerable groups. Development builds a country. So if we can apply our minds in assisting young people and not neglect the over 35s, everywhere I go, they say, but now you're talking youth. I say it's my mandate. But I also want us not to forget the over 35s. Because for the longest time, they've been neglected. They were neglected when they were youth. And that's why there was that overspill of over 35s. So we must try to balance how we also pay attention on the middle age, 35 and above, because we need to curb this before they become older. So we want to really focus on what we can drive as a community of this country to address the marginalization, to address the vulnerability, but we can only do this if each and every hand holds on tightly. The chain cannot be broken if we are all aligned. Let's not allow the politics to actually divide us as a country. Let's not allow those who make lots of noise to divide us as a country. We have a responsibility, and ours as a community is one society, one South Africa that is not divided because of discrimination, because of violence. We know how to live better as South Africans. We know how to make things work better for South Africans. Women, men, girls, boys, gender non-confirming, everybody matters. Even sex workers matter. Even persons who inject drugs matter, because we need to support everybody. So it is my humble request, as we were focusing on gender-based violence, men who are in this house, on the 9th of August, President Ramaphosa launched a campaign that he's leading, and he made a clarion call to all fathers, uncles, brothers, sons, grandfathers, young